Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis.
Say what?
Domantas Sabonis. One more. Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis. Woo!
De'Aaron Fox Day. Today's an amazing day, boys. Today, the Kings bounce back after a horrible loss to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Dominant win.
And we take care of business. We got that lasso. We threw it on the Spurs, and we threw them down and stomped on them. We win by 27 points. Unbelievable. RT had a gig during the game. He was drumming and watching. RT is dedicated to the craft.
I was dedicated to the craft. All I saw tonight was just a masterclass performance from Keon Ellis with 4 steals, the highest plus minus. That is just, there's not much bad to say, because when you play so good, the bad doesn't even exist.
Yeah, it's one of those games.
Quote. Wait, could you quote that one more time?
Wait, when you play so good, the bad doesn't exist.
Dude, I want to get that tatted. I want to get that tatted on my neck.
I mean, RT hit it on the money. The game against the Spurs tonight, there's very little you can complain about. And it's one of those games where you need to take care of business against a team that doesn't have their best player, Wembanyama. And we did that. So kudos to RT for giving that quote, because I think he hit it on the money.
You said the plus minus for Keon Ellis. There was a point in the game where he had zeros across the board, but his plus was 11.
It was
That's
insane.
just what he does. And the fact that he got a DNP the night before, Mike Brown heard the noise. He heard the frustration. He puts him in for 20 minutes tonight. He gets 4 steals. The Kings looked incredible on both ends of the floor. We had 2 guys, Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray. What did you say, Johnny? What did you say?
They're back. Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray are back. It looked like how they looked their first year on the team a couple years ago. And like you said, Keon Ellis had 4 steals, but not only that, his steals were timely, and they changed the momentum of the game. They got us on fast breaks. They got our offense to be more fluid. So from everyone that got in the game contributed, and that's what you want to see. That's what good teams do. That's what Memphis did to us when they beat us. But it's good to see Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray back to their normal form tonight.
Kevin Huerter with 4 3-pointers, 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. We love to see Red Velvet. He's wearing the red Santa hat for Red Velvet tonight.
I am.
Yes.
We're getting in the Christmas spirit early. It's very early December, but we're going to be throwing little Christmas Easter eggs in each pod, because this is the best time of year. This is the month where the Kings turn it around.
Yeah.
Keegan Murray, he had, was it 17 points tonight?
Yeah, it's 17.
And 2 blocks. He went 3 for 5 from 3-point line, so he was on fire. It was just like you were saying, like down the line, everyone that played tonight, even like, didn't Doug McDermott make a 3? Yeah, like he came in for like 3 minutes. He knocked down a 3. Everyone did their job tonight.
Yeah,
and that's all you could ask for.
I think the biggest thing to see from Keegan too, no matter how many points he had, like he had 17, that's great. He didn't hesitate on his shots, and there was some times when Chris Paul was, putting a hand up close to him, but he knows he can shoot over him, right? He's 6'9", he can shoot over small guards. So that was the most encouraging thing to see from Keegan tonight, was that he wasn't hesitant on his 3-point shot, because he's taller than most people that are guarding him. So that was the best thing. When he's not hesitating and he's letting it fly, he's going to make most of his shots, I think.
No, it was Keegan. He looked confident out there. Yeah. He looked confident. Kevin looked like he was in a beautiful flow state. His game looked so smooth tonight. We've played the Spurs 3 times now. We're now 1-2 in the series. Obviously they didn't have their best player, a generational player in Victor Wembanyama, but even though they were missing their star player, the Kings have fumbled in times like that when star players are out. We normally play down to our opponent, but tonight that was not the case.
I think it was the most dominant win that we've had all season. And it's been a while since we've had a blowout win. And I think this is just what we needed just to get the juices right. Obviously, you look at, and we'll talk about yesterday's game too, but I think the best thing about this chance right now is that we have an opportunity to really turn our season around. And I think tonight was a really big showing that, like, this is an opportunity for us to really, really take this opportunity and really, really run away with it for the month of December.
I completely agree with RT. I think this was our biggest complete win of the night. A night where we took care of business on a team that we were supposed to beat. And I think Malik Monk did a good kind of explanation on their mindset post game when he said, him, De'Aaron, Sabonis, they've had internal talks, right? Not team meetings, but they've had internal talks with themselves saying like, hey, the season's not lost. So even though they've kind of, struggled with expectations early on in the season, they know internally that the season isn't lost. So it was encouraging to hear him post game when he was talking to Drapes and Deuce and Mo that he said that they've had those meetings, right? Because when you're watching this team, you want them to understand like, hey, we expect more from you. And the fact that they're having those meetings with their best players means that they know that bigger things are coming. And it includes taking care of business like games like tonight. And I'm glad that we are able to see that.
Yeah, Malik entering that starting lineup, I feel like his leadership is growing as well. The fact that he's been open about, the Kings are having those internal discussions, not to belittle the team, but to bring them up, it's not like
it's needed.
Yeah, these are much needed conversations that need to happen, and they're happening at a perfect time. This is a perfect stretch for us to turn it around. We should be on a 3-game win streak right now because we played Houston. That was our most important win of the season, but this was our most dominant, like RT was saying. We come off that Houston game, going into the Grizzlies game, we should have won that, but then we fixed what we did wrong and we took care of business tonight. And then on Sunday we play Utah, which is they're
very winnable.
They're the worst team in the West right now. Yeah. Oh, they might be tied with
I
Pelicans.
think with Pelicans.
But either way, like this is a perfect time for us to turn it around, and I love what I saw tonight. RT, what was your favorite moment from the game today?
I mean, I think my favorite moment was just watching Domas dominant in the glass. I think just how he was so dominant. Once we knew that Victor was out, that was going to be a moment where Domas needed to step up tonight and just be his dominant self on the glass, and he did exactly that. So, I mean, I think Domas really dominated tonight. I think all of our starters, besides Keegan Murray, they were all 20-plus points, and so that's the stuff that you ask for yourself, and the defense was outstanding tonight. Keegan Murray, once again, playing outstanding defense. Keon Ellis, outstanding defense. And so I think that Mike Brown has finally figured things out a little bit. That's the hopeful goal, is that Mike Brown, because I know that he's been catching a lot of fire and a lot of criticism the last couple of weeks with just his rotations, not playing Keon Ellis or not playing this X amount of player or not giving this guy minutes or any of these stuff. So to me, it's kind of looking at it from a landscape of Mike Brown is still trying to figure things out, and hopefully he can figure it out, because tonight he did, and that should be the recipe of success going forward, was with that roster and those minutes tonight.
I love how you said how Mike Brown figured out his rotations tonight, because we threw in, DeMontis went down with a chipped tooth. He went to the locker room. He threw in Alex Len. Alex Len wasn't getting done. He threw in Orlando Robinson. He was like experimenting he played like 10 players in almost the first quarter. So he was like throwing everyone out there when in the last game, he was very hesitant. And all season really, he's been very hesitant with who he's going to bring off the bench at what time. But tonight he was just letting the boys roll, and that's how we got it done tonight. It was a collective effort from everyone. Everyone got their chance. Everyone played well in those minutes, and I loved how Mike Brown was coaching tonight.
I completely agree with you both. I think, like I was telling you, I think the Kings team we saw tonight was vintage Kings. The team that took us back to the playoffs. The team where Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray contributed. But I think my highlight of the night was watching Keon Ellis be his vintage self and watching him get timely stops.
Yep.
Obviously, he wasn't going to be our leading scorer. He's never going to be our leading scorer. But he got timely stops for us that really changed the momentum of the game. And I hope Mike Brown sees that and allows him to get more playing time going forward because of that. Because Keon Ellis looked like himself tonight.
I don't think it's necessarily more playing time. I think it's consistent playing time. Right. That's like the word I think we as Kings fans really expect, because Keon Ellis is such a valuable piece to our offense. There's a guy that loves to dunk on us, and his initials are KOC. And so I know, so if you're watching, come on the pod, buddy. I saw your tweet yesterday where you're like, first try, and it was Kings get Cooper Flag. So I see what you're doing.
But RT, I think you make a good point, and I think what Keon, he kind of changed his game a little bit when he thought he was going to be kind of the starter, and he wanted to, prioritize his offensive game a little bit. Tonight, it was like prime Keon defense, and that's what we need from him. We don't need him. I mean, as good as he is when he's hitting open shots, we need him to be our enforcer. We need him to be our Marcus Smart our guy that gets steals, defensive stops, get our offense flowing. So it seems like tonight he found his original self. Whereas before, when he wasn't getting playing time, he tried to force shots. He tried to, shoot too much or not, give as much impact on the defensive end. So it was encouraging to see that he was back to his original self.
And the thing is that, like you said earlier, Johnny, I think you made a good point, is that when he tries other stuff, Mike Brown immediately puts him in the doghouse.
Right.
So like that alone basically is like, hey, you got to be in the doghouse for a little bit. And that's what gripes us as Kings fans a little bit, is this play where if Keon makes one mistake, then it's like, oh, you're going to the doghouse. In a game where we needed Keon the most and he doesn't show up, then it's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde approach from Mike Brown. So
yeah, I think everyone on this team needs to play their role, and I think that's what a coach wants to see. That's what Coach Brown wants to see. And Keon played his role tonight, and I think that's going to give him trust going forward for sure.
I agree.
He hit an open three when he was wide open. Him in those passing lanes, just deflecting passes, intercepting passes. I mean, he's one of our best defenders on the team, and he needs to get consistent minutes. He got 20 tonight. He got the DNP the night before. The game before that, he got 2 minutes. Let's get this guy to double-digit consistent points a night.
And those stops change the whole flow of the game. So when you get a stop and we get a fast break score and they call a timeout, that literally changes the flow of the game. That gets our offense in a rhythm. So they're not just 4 steals; they're 4 timely steals that really change the momentum of the game and get us a good lead on that team.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I mean, it's just such a complete win. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Jinx, by the way.
One thing I do want to mention, there's 2 things that I noticed with the Spurs. There's a man on that team named Julian Champagnie. He is a Kings killer. I remember the first time the Spurs really showcased his talent against us. It was the year that we were about to clinch the playoffs. And San Antonio came into our house in April, and if we won that game, that would have been the clinching game at home, which would have been an unbelievable moment. And then Julian Champagnie goes off, and I was like, who is this guy? He was a 2-way player at the time, and then we played him 3 times this season, and he's gone off each game. And then tonight, I didn't write down how many points he got, but he did have, I believe he had 6 3-pointers. So it was just insane. Like, dude, he was knocking down 3. He had the first 11 points for the Spurs. Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So I just want to give my, acknowledgement to the Kings killer and Julian Champagnie.
30 ball.
He had 30?
30 tonight.
Dude,
30.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't
30.
know who he doesn't like on our team, but he just lets it fly every time he plays against us. He literally just lets it fly and has crazy confidence. Because I watch the Spurs on League Pass against other teams, and he shoots a lot, but he doesn't shoot more than Stephon Castle or Keldon Johnson even. Like, he usually shoots less. But for some reason against us, I don't know if our bench chirps at him extra or something, but he lets it fly for sure.
Yeah, he for the season, he averages 11 points, and he scored the first 11 points for the Spurs in like a 4-minute
On
span.
brand, by the way.
So I'm like, of course. And then
he knows what time it is when he plays the Kings.
Exactly. It's crazy. I just wanted to mention that because it's been so consistent with the Kings versus the Spurs. It's always him. And then the other thing that we need to talk about is for the 3rd consecutive game, there's been an ejection, and this time it was Zach Collins. RT, did you get to see what happened?
I saw it. Yeah. He used a improper finger and at a ref, and then the ref was like, "You're out of here. See ya."
Yeah, as Mark and Katie said on the broadcast, he called the ref number 1 for sure.
Yeah,
he gave him the number 1
because I literally blinked when it happened. I heard given the number 1. I was like, "Wait, what happened?" Like I literally blinked and missed it. And Maya was watching right next to me, and she heard her jaw dropped. I'm like, "What happened?" So I rewinded. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And then of course you sent the photo that King Charge put out on Twitter instantly. I'm like, dude,
I've never seen a player give the bird like that quick.
And he did.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he already got kicked out. It was like he just got 1 tech. Like, he still couldn't stay in the game, but he was so mad that he had to just give the bird, let it out.
In the beginning of the second quarter, it happened so quick into the
so quick. Yeah.
And another thing is he did it a little zesty. He went like.
He did.
He had a little shoulder sway. I'm like,
yeah. I think Domas just frustrates other bigs. Like,
dude.
He's just so aggressive, and he puts his shoulder into them, and the refs don't call fouls. So it's like Domas is literally beating you up, and the ref doesn't blow a whistle. I feel like that just frustrates you as a player.
Yeah,
and we saw it tonight with Zach Collins.
Yeah, Katie Christensen said she was kind of like nudging Zach Collins a little bit. She was like, Zach Collins just is not physical. She just said that. It was so funny. I'm like, he really struggles with physicality. I'm like, Someone had to say it. I'm like,
He probably heard her on the broadcast.
maybe that's why. Maybe
what
the bird was aimed at Katie because she reacted. She's like, "Oh my!" Like she was like
He was
reacted
looking
first.
right at her.
Yeah, I think that's why he did that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but back to the game. Like we were down 12 in the first quarter. We instantly come back. I think we ended the first quarter on a 12 or 14-1 run. Incredible. I think it was the in the third quarter the Kings went on a 16-2 run. So the Kings were just, it's a game of runs. We were getting runs at very timely throughout this game, and we weren't letting it happen to us. Finally,
That's huge.
So we stopped, like, Keon Ellis had those timely stops. We never really allowed them to get close. And in past games, we would always, like, they would cut the lead so quickly. In this game, it was going the opposite direction. We were gaining the lead, which was just amazing. Another thing that happened, DeMar DeRozan scored his 24,000th point, putting him at number 30 on the all-time scoring
That's
list. Incredible. And it happened against his previous team, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, number 30 for DeMar DeRozan. Let's just talk about him for a hot second. I mean, he's been playing great ever since he came back from that back injury. So
yeah, he's Mr. Consistency, and I think he's a player that has an old school game, right? Not a lot of players dominate the mid-range like he does. But ever since his days from the Raptors to the Spurs to the Bulls, he's just been Mr. Consistency. You know what you're going to get from him. And he's a player that doesn't take a day off. He's just a straight hooper, and we're so fortunate to have him on his team. The fact that he hit the milestone with the Kings, I feel like that's a pretty cool deal for us.
It is.
And it's number 24, and he loves Kobe. He wears Kobe shoes. It's probably a very symbolic happy day for that man.
For sure.
So we just wanted to shout him out for that.
Huge shout out.
RT, I had a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think, or where do you think DeMar DeRozan will finish on when it's time to hang it up? Like,
Wow.
how many points do you think he'll have?
I think probably like 27,000, closest 27,000. I think he probably has like a couple more seasons in him. I think 27,000 is like a good, safe place to have him. I think if he continues the way that he's doing, plays for a couple more years, I think 27,000 is like a very good number for him.
They showed like the 5 or 6 players that were ahead of him on that list. Number 29 is Steph Curry, only like 40 or 30 points ahead of him. And then the top 4 above both of them are all inactive. So it looks like DeMar and Steph are going to be making their way to like maybe 25, 26 by the end of the
same
season.
draft class too, which is
insane.
Yeah.
Like it's so. I bet
he's
they're
keeping
texting
pace
each
with
other.
a 3-point shooter, right? When he doesn't really shoot 3-pointers. I mean, we're so lucky to have him.
DeMar DeRozan probably makes up for the lack of 3-pointers with his free throws. That probably helps a lot.
And his mid-range.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah. So shouts out DeMar, 24,000. I just love that all of these accolades are happening in a Kings uniform. There's a lot to celebrate. Another thing to celebrate, De'Aaron Fox releases his first signature shoe with the Curry brand. This is a huge deal. This is a very big deal because name another player that has had a signature shoe for the Sacramento Kings. I'll wait right
Can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, it's
That's huge.
And the fact that it's a
deal.
player that's been with us this long, and that's, we drafted, and it's not like someone we traded for midseason, and he loves the city. It's a huge deal. It really is. And we're just so happy for him because we've always seen him, be a star in this league, and he's finally getting the recognition he deserves.
I agree. I think I really like the cover on the magazine
Slam?
today.
Yeah, the Slam cover is really good.
you'll see it here. So
It came in the mail today.
It did,
Perfect timing.
It did.
On Fox Day. What are the chances?
On Fox Day. It's in the old. It's like in the Sacramento, like the
got the
newest
big chain
statement
on.
jersey.
Is that 2 chains?
Statement.
Jeez.
And there's the shoes right there too. So yeah, I mean it's just an incredible thing to see, and just seeing him just have that public, like, Slam is such a huge
Iconic. I used to collect the Slam magazine covers and hang them up in my room.
The Allen Iverson Slam magazine cover. That's probably, I have that shirt. It's like my favorite Slam cover of all time.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is Fox isn't this flashy social media personality or this guy that, drops 50. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, he's not this guy that's craving the attention, and the fact that he's getting it on this big scale, and he's finally getting it with his consistency and with his leadership is so good because he's such a humble player, and we've seen that for 8-9 years.
My favorite thing is small market teams getting national recognition. Yeah. A signature shoe. I ordered my pair the other night. It's gonna arrive next week. I am so happy for him. I mean, all of our dreams, as kids, of course you want to be in the NBA, but that doesn't happen. But 400 people, or what is there, 450 roster spots in the NBA. Out of those 450, out of 8 billion people, only out of those 450, maybe 10 to 15 have a signature shoe, and that De'Aaron Fox is one of them. And he plays for our team, the guy who we drafted at number 5. Unbelievable. Another thing that's just awesome. De'Aaron Fox had an interview with Funny Marco, which was
really
hilarious. I saw it on John's story.
Dude.
Like, this is the type of stuff that the Kings need. Like the fact that the Kings are finally getting that recognition. For the past, it's been 3 seasons where we as Kings fans, we've never experienced this type of anything really excited to brag about. And all of this is very braggable, something to be so excited for.
It's definitely surreal. And we've always seen Fox's personality since he got drafted, and we know he's made to be a star in this league. And the fact that he's finally getting that recognition is so awesome, because we've seen him literally since he was 18 years old.
He looks so young when we drafted him.
It's amazing.
We've
it's
seen
really
him
good to see.
through the long hair days, to the buzz cut, to the slam covers, to the signature shoe, to the playoff drought. I mean, De'Aaron Fox deserves all the flowers, and
he's loyal to the city.
It was only right we had to talk about him on Fox Day, which is December 6th, releasing his first of many signature shoes to come. Definitely. And I'm going to buy all of them. On the topic of some cheery stuff, I just want to pause the podcast to say this. Before recording, Johnny was saying he had a lot of interest in this jersey, and I just want to say I want to give it to you as an early Christmas gift. I'm going to give you this jersey that you're wearing. I swear to God. I want to give it to you.
I
want to give it to you. I want to give it to you, kid.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear. That's what I said that when I was setting up. I'm like, I'm going to save it for the pod. I wanted to give you that jersey as a thank you for your consistency with the podcast, for all the amazing things that we've accomplished together with this podcast, and just the lifelong friendship, kid.
Oh, that's adorable. That is adorable.
Love you, kid. Archie, don't worry. Your gift is coming.
My gift is coming for you guys too.
This is a champion original Bobby Jackson jersey.
Don't worry, I have stuff coming for you guys too. So it's the season
December
of giving.
is going to be a great month. There's just so much to be excited about.
God, Creasa, thank you so much, man.
I love you, kid. Yeah,
so much,
sorry we paused the podcast, but I just wanted it was perfect timing.
Totally impromptu.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
Oh my goodness.
But another thing, let's just break down the stats now, because this was a dominant performance from down the roster. DeRozan, 23 points. Keegan, 17 points, 2 blocks. Sabonis, 22 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists. Malik, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Dude, Malik quietly fills out the stat sheet like crazy. I'm like, dude, I don't keep track in my head when that guy's getting rebounds, but the fact that he ended up with 9, insane. For a shooting guard, we'd love to see it. De'Aaron Fox, 22 points, 8 assists. Kevin Huerter, who deserves a lot of love right now, because he's hearing it. He's been getting slandered for over a year now. It's just good to see him. I know he had only 16 points, but his game was so important and so impactful tonight. 4 for 4 from the 3. And the guy that deserves just as much credit, Keon Ellis, for being so disciplined to be getting benched multiple times throughout the season. Very inconsistent minutes. He's always ready. Like, you gotta love a guy like Keon Ellis on our team. That I can't even imagine what mentally these guys go through an NBA season, especially when you have so many highs and lows of playing a lot of minutes, not playing a lot of minutes. He only scored 3 points tonight, but he hit a wide open 3, which we need, and he was locked down defending. So the Kings. What stood out to you out of those statistics?
I think you hit it on the money. I think the biggest thing is what people were concerned for was if Kevin Huerter moves to the bench, if he can find a rhythm. And I think tonight showed that he can still be Kevin Huerter and he can still shoot the lights out while coming off the bench. And if anything, Malik Monk, when he's starting, gets another sense of confidence. He's able to rebound more. He has more energy in the game. So if anything, tonight against the Spurs showed that our rotations can work. Monk can start, Kevin Huerter come off the bench, and we can still have players contribute. Huerter doesn't necessarily need to be the starter to shoot lights out. I think he can still be a contributing factor off our bench.
I agree. I mean, I think you just nailed it on the head, Johnny. And then this gives Monken more opportunities to play with Fox, gives him more opportunities to work on his pick and roll as a bonus. I think there's just so much that positives out of it. So in that stretch, I think we're 2-1 since he became the starter. Or no, 2-2, because he started with in the loss against the Spurs.
But he's had great games.
But it's great games, and it's positive games. And he's filling up the stats. He's filling up everything. He's filling up rebounds. He's filling up assists. The Houston game, he had double-digit assists, and he had a double-double. So he can contribute in these type of games. And so to see that, where he's able to just consistently have an impact on the box score and in the game, I think that's a very, very big thing for us as Kings fans to really, really appreciate.
I completely agree. And I think another thing I noticed is when our offense kind of is stagnant and slows down a bit, he dominates that pick and roll with Sabonis. He knows that it's so money that he's like, okay, once he gets the ball in the wing, he's like, everyone clear out. Sabonis sent me a screen. This is a guaranteed bucket or a guaranteed free throw shot. So the fact that he has that awareness, knowing like, hey, this is our bread and butter with him and Sabonis pick and roll, just shows his IQ is growing, and he knows, no one can stop this.
That is the most underrated duo in the NBA.
Sure.
I agree.
No one.
They know each other so well. Once Sabonis rolls, he knows if he's either going to kick to the corner to Keegan for a corner three, or Sabonis is going for an easy dunk or to get to the foul line. And it's literally our bread and butter once they're on the court together.
Can't stop it.
And to Kings fans, like, this is nothing new. Like, we've seen this the second Monk and Sabonis first joined the team. They had that chemistry instantly. I'm just saying, like, the national media and people who don't watch the Kings, like, you would never think, oh, I bet the Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis duo is killer. Like, it really is. And, like, Malik makes Sabonis so much better. Like, I'm going to bounce to the Grizzlies game because we should probably talk about that. But we went away from Sabonis scoring in the second half of that Grizzlies game. He was so dominant early on. Like, he saw cookies out there when Jay Huff was guarding him, and even when Jaren Jackson, like, no one could guard Sabonis in that game, and he dominated the first half. Second half, we went away. He only shot 4 times in the second half. That's another huge reason why we lost that game. But going back to the current game, when these two are pick and roll, Malik dishing off to Sabonis, it's almost unguardable. And it just needs to happen on a more consistent level. And I think the Malik for Kevin Huerter substitution into the starting lineup is one of the best things that could happen to this team. Shake it up. Give Kevin Huerter 20-ish minutes a game, and if he's hot in those minutes, keep him in. It's just having him start when he was going through those lumps and his scoring, wasn't the best. But Malik has been extremely consistent every single night he's been a starter.
Completely. Well said. I think everyone on that team knows we need contributors off our bench. No matter if it's Monk or Huerter, whoever's coming off our bench needs to contribute. And Huerter did that tonight. But definitely well said, Cree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to transition to the Grizzlies game because, you talked a little bit about the Grizzlies game, and I will say this: the one positive that we did have, because we can talk.
There was many. There was a lot of positives. Yeah.
My main positive: we put John Morant in Folsom Prison. Keegan Murray locked him up. And he was just so frustrated.
He shot 2 for 12.
He did so bad. 6 points.
Yeah, he looked terrible. Honestly, he looked so bad. Honestly, the entire starting lineup for the Grizzlies outside of Desmond Bane looked terrible.
Atrocious.
They looked so bad. And like I was texting you guys in the group chat. I was like, we are dominating against their starters. But then when their bench came in, even when we had our starters in, their bench we couldn't stop them. Another thing I wanted to mention about that game was, Keon did not play. Ja, 2 for 12, got kicked out of frustration because he kept biting on the DeMar DeRozan mid-range. No one knows how to guard that. You can't really teach how to guard a DeMar DeRozan midi. It's very hard. It was getting all the players very frustrated. Taylor Jenkins almost got teed up. But the thing that was just so frustrating was we were going up against their second unit almost the entire game because Taylor Jenkins saw our starters do not have it tonight. We're just going to roll with the bench, and the bench just outplayed our starters, and that was led by Marcus,
and that was led by Marcus Smart. Out of all
with
people.
The fresh haircut, shooting bombs from 3, dude. He wasn't really doing that in Boston to that level. He was draining threes like crazy. Jake LaRavia helped me guys with the bench guys. Jay Huff. I didn't hear about him until that game, but now I do. He had 11 points. A guy who I do like. I pick him up in fantasy when he's available. Santi Aldama. He destroyed us.
Solid.
And I think
Spain
there was
legends.
one other guy. Oh, Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen Jr.
He didn't really score too much, but collectively they scored 60 points. So
it's kind of like how the Raptors played us, dude. And when you watch film on a team, you're not looking at their bench players. And the encouraging thing, if anything, is that our starters played well, but our bench didn't match their bench. And if you want to be a successful team in this league, and I keep harping on it on every pod, your bench needs to show up, and you need to at least match the energy of the opposing team's bench. But when you're watching film and you're prepping on a team, you're not looking at their bench players. You're just expected.
You don't have time.
You're just
You don't really have
expected
time
to match their energy. And the Grizzlies won that game. I mean, it wasn't like a blowout. We could have won that game if our bench was just average. But the Grizzlies bench exceeded our bench, and it's not like our starters played bad. Fox had a hell of a game. But it's one of those things where our depth showed that game. And if anything, it was a wake-up call, and we responded against San Antonio, obviously. But if there was a game this season that showed our lack of depth, it was the game against Memphis.
And we only played 3 bench players. I believe it was only Isaac Jones,
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder for a little bit, and then Kevin Huerter. Yeah. So, and I think Isaac Jones had 9 points. Huerter had 6. So those were the only 2 that scored the 15. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where you're like, we should beat the bench team. We like the starting unit should be able to take care of business, but we couldn't. Like we would be up 10 or up 10 to 12, and then that bench unit would bring them back into the game, and then the starters would come in, and then we would go up. We would go on that 10 to 12-0 run. It was one of those. It was a weird night for the Grizzlies, and they were able to come out on top. Like we had so many good things. De'Aaron Fox had 6 steals, tying his career high. That was amazing to watch. I was rooting for him the whole night, trying to help him get that career high. He had so many deflections. We played physical. It's just another thing. We just could not make threes. We were 8 for 35.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
That can't cut it. We made improvements tonight, but in that Grizzlies game,
yeah, I think
sad.
I think De'Aaron, Keegan, and Kevin, they combined for like 1 for 20 or something like that.
Yes,
between the 3 of them.
yes, that was the wild stat for the
That was
night.
the wild stat.
1
Yeah,
for 20
yikes.
from 3.
Anyways,
De'Aaron's mid-range was fire, but his 3-point wasn't going in.
No,
for
I
sure.
mean, we take that sour taste out of our mouths though, so we'll move on.
But another thing I do want to mention is the whole month of November, we did not go on we did not have back-to-back wins that entire month of November. But guys, we're in a new month. It's the season of giving, and you know what the Kings are going to give us? Wins.
I agree.
And I really believe we're on the pace to turn it around. 11-13 as of right now, correct?
Yeah.
We got our 11th win.
And there's some teams in the West that are slipping a little bit.
Yeah, San Antonio's right above us. Minnesota's right above us.
I think it's time to do a pulse check.
Yes,
we haven't done a pulse check in a long time.
Can you pull up the standings right now, just so we could do a preview?
We have not done a pulse check because there's a team out in Southern California that is struggling right now, and it is just music to all Kings fans' ears.
Yeah. If you looked at the standings right now, not to use my famous words, but the Kings are in the thick of it. And if we beat the Jazz on Sunday and we get back-to-back wins like you were saying, we're going to leave our mark on the Western Conference because we are in the middle of it with our 11th win tonight.
Let's break it down. Let's start from the bottom.
Okay.
I'm not even going to talk about 13, 14, 15 because we're not there.
But
the Kings are 12th, okay? I know, not where we expected. We're 11-13. Right above us, the Spurs 11-12. Wow, Lakers 12-11. Yeah, they lost by one tonight. So 10, 11, 12 are neck and neck.
Shout out to Trae Young giving me fantasy points. I really appreciate it.
They played the Hawks. Yeah.
Shout out to Trae Young. He had 30 and 20 tonight.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 30 and 20.
Dude, the Hawks, I don't know what happened to that team, but they were...
Risache, too.
Dude, it's their bench. It's DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan.
Yep.
They're getting like 20 points a game off the bench.
Bogdan started the season injured. He's actually
That's
finally
true.
healthy now.
Yeah.
So he's hitting his groove.
So shouts out Atlanta. We don't have to worry about them because they're in the East. But...
That whole Lakers team is just falling apart.
Dude, I love it.
And it's just fantastic.
When you have a podcaster as your coach, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
None of us can coach.
And then the roster is still the same. The roster,
Rory Hachimura can only take you so far. So I see us surpassing that team down
I think
south.
so too. And we play him 3 times.
Franchise.
We play him 3 times this month. So it's
on that topic. So we play the Lakers. I believe it's the 19th and the 21st, the Thursday and the Saturday.
And then we play him again at the end of the month.
So one of my best friends from Fullerton is coming to Sacramento to go to that Laker game with me, and I'm thinking he's staying with me. So I'm thinking we should have the Kings versus Lakers conversation. Let's just call it that.
For sure.
I'm with
I
it.
think that would be
Post-game,
so much
that'd
fun.
be fun.
So
Yeah.
Saturday night, I think we should have we have the 4 mics. We'll have the Kings versus the Lakers showdown. It's gonna be a 1-on-3, so we're not gonna like. Obviously, he's an amazing friend.
No, it'll be a civil
And I think it'll be a fun
Yeah.
conversation
It'll be
because
civil.
he's very level-headed.
We've gotten a lot of requests to have.
It's Chris. It's not
I knew it
Mogi.
was Chris. I knew it was Chris too. I knew it was Chris when he said it was.
No, Chris
Shout out
is one of the best guys. So you guys are
shout
gonna
out
love
Chris.
him.
I think that's a
but-
great idea. We've had a lot
We
of
have to do
requests
it.
to
Oh,
have.
By the way,
opposing
Chris,
teams
if
on
you're
here.
listening to this, you're going down this week in fantasy. You're going down.
Wow.
Wow.
I love
Fighting
that.
words.
But Chris, this is an open invite.
Your 6 game winning streak is going to end.
Wow.
He
I
has
love
been
that.
on a heater though. He's been on
I
a
love
heater.
that. Let's get back to the pulse check. But Chris, if you're watching this, we're gonna have that conversation. Okay. So at number 9 is the Timberwolves, and they're 12-10. So the Kings are still within arm's reach. 8th seed is Denver. Who would have thought that? 11-9.
That's kind of crazy.
And then Phoenix Suns is 12 wins, 9 losses. So only 1 game back for the 7th seed in the win column. Which is just insane. So if
It's
we
insane
get,
so what
because
are
we
we-
played
what are-
so bad.
what are we
that
back-
We're still in it.
there's
you
another
know?
thing. There's one more thing I needed to say. There, in all of our losses, pretty much, except for that one Spurs blowout, every game we lost was within 5 to 10 points.
For sure.
I think closer to the 5 range. Like every single loss we had this season has been like a nail biter. And those games we played so bad, like we shot terribly and we're barely losing. So if we just made a couple more threes those games, we would be in such a different spot right now. But
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I like how we're playing right
And
now.
it seems like we played every team that we have on our schedule at least twice. So
That's
it's like
true,
it's
that's
like we
true.
know the teams we're playing. Utah, we've already played once or
Yeah,
twice.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Minnesota, we played 7 times. It seems like so.
Yeah, and we're going to see
um,
Denver for the first time next week, so that's going to be a huge game
but,
for us.
But
At
Utah,
home, though.
if we take care of Utah on Sunday, that's going to be awesome.
And then I totally agree. 6th seed is the Clippers. Wow, what a season!
The Clippers shocked me. The Clippers, I thought
They're
the
just
Clippers,
a defensive
yeah.
We'll see
defensive
how
team.
healthy they can stay.
I think the one thing I want to mention this because Norman Powell mentioned this I saw this on Twitter, and he mentioned that everybody buys in, nobody has an ego, everybody knows their
That's
role.
a shot. That's a shot right there.
Yeah,
though. It is.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is a shot
though.
at 2 players, though.
Yeah,
too. It is
it
a
really
shot
is.
at 2 players. So, but I think this team just really has a good understanding. Everybody's just there's no ego on that team, and especially just the way that team is constructed. Like Harden is basically running the show. Like it's like 2017 for him all over again.
It's
like
almost
minus
identical.
the scoring.
Yeah.
So he facilitates more because he's getting old. He's like 35 years old. He basically does more facilitating. Norman Powell like is their leading scorer.
My God.
Nuts.
I
He's
love
so
Storman.
good.
I love
He's so
Storman.
good. Zubac is going to get you what he can get you. I mean, the Clippers are a very, very consistent
Clippers.
team.
And
And Tyronn Lue, I think, is one of the best coaches in the NBA.
They took me for a surprise this year. I thought they were going to be at the bottom of the West, if I'm being honest, but wow. Next, we got the Warriors, 13-9. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. Did they break their losing streak?
I think they lost.
They were on like a 4-game
they
losing
went to they beat Houston, I think.
That's what it was.
Yeah, they beat Houston.
Barely.
Yeah, he barely.
And then Grizzlies. Oh my God, dude, the Grizzlies should not be this high. 4th seed, 15-8. Mavericks 15-8. Rockets 15-8. And then the Thunder are number 1. So
I mean, that sounds about right.
I mean, the Kings put together a nice little 5-game win streak. We're right in the top 5. You know,
could get there. We could get
it's
there.
literally that possible.
we should be on the
So,
3-game win streak right now with Houston. We should have beat the Grizzlies, and then we just blew out the Spurs. And then we have Utah next, and then
Utah
Denver
at home.
Yeah. So I mean, we have hopefully blue skies ahead. I think this Utah game, I would just love another dominant win. We need a dominant win at home where we're
Yeah.
just draining threes, where we have all of our starters sitting with like 9 minutes left in the 4th, and then we
Yeah.
could root on like Colby Jones and Doug McDermott to just shoot threes. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and we're saying that as fans, we expect more. And like I was saying earlier, this episode, it's really encouraging seeing Malik Monk say post game that internally they're having those conversations, the leaders are having those conversations, because as fans we know we expect more, and I think the players expect more. So you can't take any more games off. I mean, they understand it's a long season, but we're hitting the halfway mark of the season. We can't take any more games off. We can't slouch against a team like Utah that we're supposed to beat.
I think we hit such a turning point tonight. I mean, same with that Houston game. When we're winning, it's looking really good. It's just we just got to clean up the
It's gotta be
shooting. We got to
consistent.
It's got to be 4 quarters too.
It's got to be 4 quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting close. We're getting close to the team that we want to be, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks, boys?
I'm just ready, man. I'm ready to start this or end this year right. And we're still in it. This isn't, we haven't played our best basketball, and we're still in it. If anything, you would say you could say this season has been worst case scenario, and we still are 1 winning streak away from being in the top 4 seed in the West. So I think it's do or die now, and we keep harping on. I'm glad we're getting our lumps out early. I'm glad we're hitting our roadblocks early because it's do or die situation. I know we say this every episode, but it really is do or die situation here. And I think the closer we get to deadline, the trade deadline, the closer we get to February, I think the pressure adds to those players. But I think a win against a Spurs team that we took care of handedly. And a win against Utah would carry us into a nice little winning streak, I think.
I think the most important thing is that the Kings want this just as bad as we do.
Definitely.
And that's what I love about this team is they want to turn this city around as well. It's not just us. It's not just the fans. It's the players. It's the organization. Everyone wants victories in Sacramento.
Definitely.
We want the skies to be purple. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching episode. We didn't even get to say what episode it
we're
was.
on 15.
This is episode 15. Please like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And with that being said, the boys are out.